few months ago, a guy was in his car and he drove. I was on my bicycle and he drove up next to me. He's like, "Hey, go back to China," and then he drove off. Ching Chong is definitely a word that has a lot of history in my memories, and it took too long for me to say something about it.
Being called Paki is such a foreign thing when you grow up in a town that's predominantly not foreign, and I was so confused by it because I'm Indian, not Pakistani, so it was kind of like I don't get it, and I just knew from that it wasn't that good to be different. That's kind of what I took away from it.
But for a long time I always felt that way. My hair was always an issue for everybody, but my skin obviously is very fair, so it's very interesting how people put their perceptions on you, and then how you take all those different perceptions from other people and build an identity based on that, which isn't true.
They were like, "Oh, you're so sensitive, you're so sensitive." So that was something that always kind of stuck with me as a negative thing.
It's very typical in Punjabi culture as a woman to be quiet and submissive. So when you're a loudmouth, screaming, running around, asking for things, making a lot of noise and singing, it's not necessarily congruent with the way an Indian girl is supposed to be raised.
I feel like I've been drifting the whole time. I'm kind of like running around, but it's been good. Like, I take that as definitely a gift.
Boys used to like throw things in my hair and it would get caught on my afro, and they called me Velcro head for years because my hair was so fuzzy. Which is interesting because probably that diversity and that unique look was probably what landed me my job at MuchMusic. So it's interesting how those kinds of things work out.
My dad would tell me that he told me I was Bruce Lee's cousin, so I told all my friends. They'd introduce me, "This is Bruce Lee's cousin," and then I was talking about it to my dad, and he's like, and I was talking about being Bruce Lee's cousin. My dad's like, "Son, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, I'm Bruce Lee's cousin." He said, "Son, I was joking."
I became really funny, actually. I became like, that's what I wanted to do all the time, and just make people laugh and break that kind of barrier.
As I get older, it becomes harder and harder for people to expect what I'm going to become.
Lately I've found a more positive way to look at it. You really open up to people and you let their stories affect you, and then those will stay with you for the rest of your life. So sensitivity has been one of my strong points rather than one of my weak points when I was going through school. So it's been a good thing.
When you're young, I always found like you really want to blend in. You want to be beige as much as you possibly can. And you don't find out until later, unless you're lucky, that you being diverse, you being unique, and being strong and powerful as you are, which obviously could never be like anybody else, that's the most important thing. And that's what's going to get you connected to your passion and who you are and what you're meant to do here on the planet. No big deal.
I'm constantly, not redefining, but kind of like doing new things to try to figure out who I am. I guess, this sounds really cliche teenager. I'm constantly working towards like a defined me that will never exist, so I'm constantly working towards it, so it means I'm just like fueled, I'm good to go. I'll constantly be moving forward, and that's what I want to do.
I have a choice in how diverse I want to be, I suppose. I can be whoever I want to be, and as you grow older, you just realize, okay, you can create whoever you want to be in this life. So let's be Indian today, and let's go for sushi tomorrow, and let's experience everything, because that's the joy of life.
When it comes to diversity and racism, don't ever let it sit in your heart for not even a second. It's not even worth it. Let it go, but don't forget about it. Do something about it. Tell somebody about it. Educate that person about it.
I definitely feel it's important to be able to stand up for yourself, but not to be abrasive about it, but just to say, listen, dude, that's not so cool.
There's a good quote by Jesse Jackson that I heard through Oprah, which is, excellence is the best deterrent to sexism, excellence is the best deterrent to racism, be excellent, and I've always liked that. Just don't give anyone any power about who you are as an individual, by any labels or anything, just be who you are.
Am I black enough? I think I'm black enough for me. I'm just me, so it doesn't even really matter. And catch me in the summer! Catch me on a good day in the summer!